Hello and welcome to That Old Shop. My name is Mike Scott and it has finally happened. Finally getting started on the shop build. After some initial dirt work that I did of scraping off some topsoil so I could use it on this hillside over here and give me more of a buffer from our flooding issues that we have with this creek periodically since we've been here. This property taken care of, and so they came and started the initial dirt work and foundation work. So I'll show you that in pictures and video. It's going to be a wood frame pole building, but the poles will be 4x6s, treated 4x6s on top of the concrete. They had to do I don't know what it worked out to be. It was originally a 2-foot wall. They brought it down a little bit along the back there because the grade of the ground back there is higher. So we didn't want any water getting on top of the slab. So there was a footing poured under the wall. That was one pour. And the wall was poured on top of the footing. And the floor has got to be poured now. This will be the third pour. I don't know, 5 or 6 trucks maybe. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. There's going to be a little curb poured over here, so the water that comes off the grade over there won't get on top, won't get around the wall there and get on top of the slab, but that's the plan. 30 by 60, just 10-foot walls. Trusses 2 foot on center though. Everybody else that gave me these high quotes was trusses were 8 feet on centers. Crazy. So I had gotten in there, got my boots on and got in there and helped them place the concrete. So that's why there's no footage of that being poured in there. There's a little homeowner participation. But here they are finishing the concrete. And just like that, ready for the framing to get started. And here's the first day accomplishment by the framers, which is actually a neighbor, his brother, and the brother's son. This is what they got done. And after 2 days of framing, this is what they've gotten done. Basically framed out the top, most of the top. They still have to put some top plates on. But this is the door opening right here in front of the bundle of material. That's a 12-foot wide by 9-foot high. Be just one overhead door. Then to the left over there will be the woodworking shop. That'll be 15 by 30. Then there'll be a open bay in the middle, 30 by 30. Then on the right there where the dog is, to the right of the dog will be the metalworking shop. And that'll also be 15 by 30. So there'll be interior walls in there for separate those off from the central shop bay. Okay, so the walls got put up, and then I helped flip the trusses up. I didn't help carry them in there. So there were 2 nailers, which were the 2 brothers, and then one of the sons, and one of the son's friends. They carried the trusses in, and I helped flip them up and steady them while the nailers nailed them. On the metal, the 2 brothers put up, and the son, they put up all the metal. I trimmed out the doors, both wood and aluminum, and put the J around the 3 door openings. And they did all the rest. It ain't moving because I'm here and Magnum's right behind me. And he's twisting his head a little. Starting to move. I think it's some type of box turtle. We have a whole colony of purple martins now. They were all on the birdhouse there until Magnum walked down there. So a colony is like a whole family of birds. You want to get a colony because as they have more birds, babies, they come back to the same house. And why purple martins are desirable because they're a swallow, and it's the largest swallow in North America. And birds and other animals, they eat their weight in this case birds, They eat their weight in flying insects every day. So being the largest swallow, they eat the most insects out of any swallow, bird in the swallow family. But these purple martins are pretty noisy. They're like monkeys. If you've been to the zoo and monkeys get real noisy, that's what these birds can be like. They've all left the birdhouse because we're here, Magnum and I, so they're flying around. Here come some. I think we're going to have to get another purple martin house because I think they've pretty much filled this one up already. When we come out here in the evening, they're not even here because they're out eating bugs in some other area before they return back here. But in the morning, they're pretty active here around the house. But that's it, purple martins. Look them up. And so it begins, moving the projects into the workshop. Got this is actually a vehicle lift here that does not bolt to the floor. It just sits on the floor. Let's see if there's a rating on this thing. The guy said it picked up his F-250, so I'm assuming it'll pick up the Suburban. And it's what they call a mid-rise lift. It just lifts the vehicle high enough to do brakes or work on tires, you know, stuff like that. And this radio arm saw is a 16-inch. I believe it's a medium arm. I haven't measured the arm yet. DeWalt, of course. Came with a nice blade. Got a 1-inch arbor. And a couple of junky stands. The guy gave me a piece of oak veneered MDF to make a new table for it because this table's pretty shot. And we got everything pretty lashed down. I got extra long straps, so that got a lot of extra once I get the ratchet tight. So I just run the straps around other things, like I wrap the extra around those stands there. And I really just wanted the top of these stands. The guy gave them to me, so well, I don't know if I'll keep the bottom part of it. Kind of clunky. But that's a lift. It's hydraulic. This is the reservoir for it. What they did is they drug it up a rollback wrecker and then slid it off onto onto the trailer, and I dragged it up the rest of the way with the winch. But when he was pulling the lift out onto the street so we could do the switcheroo from vehicle to vehicle, the pump fell over on the rollback and spilled pretty much all its oil out of it. And it smells like a gear oil, so I'll have to research that. Do you use gear oil in that, or should that be a hydraulic oil? We shall see. But the winch performed pretty good. Haven't had any problems with it since I redid it. So that's what's going in. The lift is going in the center bay there to work on vehicles where the tractor is. The radial arm saw, I think, is going to go in the right side. We're going to make that the woodworking end. I got to put up an interior wall in there. That'll be one of the woodworking machines in there. We had another big bandsaw. I think it looked like about a 32 or something. I forget the brand, but yeah, I could have scored that, but I didn't bring enough cash, so I already have a big woodworking bandsaw, so I didn't really need two. I could have turned one into just a metalworking saw, I suppose, for bigger metal jobs. Some scroll work or something like that. We shall see. But that's the project so far that are going to get moved into here. I don't have any lights in here yet, but this is what the inside looks like. It's 10-foot side walls, 30 by 60. The guys who framed the building, they framed the top plates with two 2x4s, one vertically and one laying horizontally, and that's the way it is all the way around the building. I went and looked at the building that the framer had built himself at his house. This is before I knew he was going to be doing my building. Stopped in and looked at his building, talked to him, and that's how he did it with those two 2x4s. But these posts are set 8 feet apart, and those two 2x4s with all them trusses sit on there. Even though his building was 2 years old, you know, there was no sagging in between the posts of those two 2x4s. But I elected to put a 2x8 up there with some timber screws into the posts, and that gave me a big surface to put the hurricane ties all along the wall, both of the long walls, the load-bearing walls. And that's what she looks like. No other windows except the windows that are in the man doors. So it's about 6 p.m. right now, so that's the light just coming in from the overhead door and the two man doors. If I open up the man doors, it'll bring in some more light. It got up to the mid 80s today, and it's like 6 p.m. and it's not hot in here. Of course, they don't have the overhead door on yet, so the heat didn't build up in here because it had an opening in one end of the one side wall there. But I expected it to be hotter in here because of the color we chose. We chose darker colors for the siding and the roof. This is kind of a darker red. And the roof is the same color as the trim, although it doesn't look like it because of the reflection of the sky. The roof looks like it's a lighter brown, but it's not. It's the same as the trim. And I went with a little darker colors because I was reading all these horror stories about moisture, condensation inside the building, collecting on the metal, because it's when it's cold, moisture would condensate on there. So I was hoping the warmer colors would keep the material warmer, even in colder days. When we get a little sun, it would warm it up, you know, good enough to where it wouldn't be a condensation problem. I don't know, just my own theory.
Well, this was in a cold storage where the seller's father used to build cabinets. The seller is also a cabinet maker, but he doesn't use this saw anymore. And because it was in cold storage in this barn, and I'll show you a video of what it looked like for us to get into that location. It was quite the overgrown mess, but somebody had gotten in there and cut all the copper wire off of what machines were left there, and all the lights, and just anything that they thought they could scrap for some value, they took wire-wise. So I didn't get to hear it run. He reassured me it did run, so I have to rewire it. I usually rewire a machine when I get it anyway. I used to neatly roll up my ratchet straps. I don't do that anymore. I just throw them all in a bucket. And the ratchet is about on the location on the strap that I need every time I go and get something, pretty much. So it worked for me. Did have a little additional fun on this trip. Do another tire out here. And we drove for a little ways that way because it wasn't really shaking really bad or anything, and most of the weight was on the front of the trailer. We didn't have the radial arm on there yet, so most of the weight was way front on the trailer, onto the tow vehicle, onto the tongue. And this tire was one of the rear tires on the trailer. So yeah, we probably drove maybe a mile, I guess, with it flat. I thought maybe a strap had come loose, one of the loose ends, and got underneath the tire, and I thought that was the initial jolt I felt, but it was in fact the tire. Not a whole lot of tread left on there. I've had several flat tires on my trailer, and they're all with these Chinese made tires. So I'm going to start phasing these trailer tires out and putting truck tires on. I'm going to start with the rear tires because it's always the rear tires that go flat. I think the front tire rolls over something, some debris on the roadway, flips it up, and it gets into the rear tire. Since I drove about a mile, it's hard to tell, this initial cut in the sidewall was from some road debris. I don't remember seeing any road debris, or if this is all from me driving about the mile down the road. So, yep, another one bites the dust. This is why I inquired about these rollers, because they're kind of massive. They're 3-inch diameter and they're 20 inches wide. So I hope to utilize them somewhere with the radial arm. Cutting some timbers and different timber type related projects. Bad tire. I'm gonna chop up with junk. What I did here to make a skid was just two 2x4 runners and then 2x6s to hold the legs apart, and then screw the 2x6s down to the 2x4s. And it worked pretty good. I was originally going to make a 2x6 runners. I think that would have been harder to move around because it was more 2x touching the ground, you know. We had some pretty uneven ground to work with in there. We had some sheet metal laying on the ground and crushed limestone in some areas, finely crushed limestone. But I had these pipe rollers underneath there. And there was 3 of us, so we could muscle it around pretty easily. Of course, lowered the arm all the way down. Lowered the arm all the way down to a lower center of gravity and took the blade guard off so we wouldn't lose that. Of course, the blade had to come off to get it down that low because the blade would have just been hitting the table. But these stands, for you, those of you who don't know, they're just a heavy sheet metal, but they're pretty thick. They're probably 1/8 at least, maybe 3/16. The lift is actually on rollers. That's how it operates. It's on rollers in the back here. You can see that. Let me take the camera out of the tripod here. There's rollers underneath there. And when it goes up, that rolls just like a regular floor jack would have to roll with the vehicle. I don't know if there's any mid ones. No, there's none in the midpoint area. But then this end is just the frame is just a flat piece of metal. And that should stay stationary. They seem to tell me. This is the capacity on it, 6,500 pounds. Let's see who made this thing. Automotive Lift Institute, certified probably. I don't see a manufacturer on there, but at least they got a capacity. And of course they tell you in a couple places the front of the vehicle has to be towards the end that does not have the 2 rollers. It's pretty heavy. I don't know what it weighs. I don't know how I would get a weight on it with what I have, but I'd say it's probably 1,500 to 2,000 pound range, and the radio arm is probably in the 700 pound range. I did a little cleanup to the pump. It's got a really long hose on it. Of course, this mounts on the wall somewhere where you're not close to the vehicle as you're raising it. In case the vehicle falls, you don't want to get trapped by it. It's got about a maybe a 12-foot hose on it, and maybe a 6-foot cord. You can wire for 110 or 220, 115 or 230. That's on the pump. Seems pretty simple. This is the handle that operates it. Only thing it's missing that I'm aware of is the cap for over the reservoir. So gotta get that. And I'll probably clean the whole thing up more. I just clean it up with some paper towels here. I'll probably do a power wash job on it before I move it in. Yeah. New cap. It's up 505 degreaser. It works pretty good. Interesting cedar shims there. Okay, so I didn't get the leveler bars to the table. That's all right. I'm only going to use this for a cross cutting saw anyway. I'm going to make some miter fixtures so I don't have to move the arm and keep resetting it all the time. Always banging my head. It's finally met its demise, that old wood table. So inside here, there's a bunch of mud dauber nests, wasp nests, hornets nests, whatever. There's one over there in the corner. There's a bunch of other. I'm gonna raise the motor up and power wash the base out. That should be fun. I'll get good and wet on that one. Yeah, I would normally pull the motor off too, but I got storms rolling and you can see it up there. So I gotta get moving.
Yeah, it's not going on the front cutting. Close,
It's heavy. Let's see.
very close.
We gotta turn it around before you do it.
Probably do. Still got one.
Gotta get one underneath this thing.
Okay. Okay.
Put some rollers under here. I'm gonna try and steer it over here. Gotta get at least 200 there. Very hard.
Push it now. I saw it move. Better straighten another one out or put another one next to it. Another one next to it. Well, got the floor cleaned. It was all that dirty underneath the tractor. Now it's a lot cleaner than what it was, but I did track in some more mud, which is inevitable, right, in a workshop. That's what we got. We got the lift in here.
Got the radio arms all in here, got the floor cleaned, got the trailer unloaded, and now chance of rain passed by. So I hurried up and got that done for nothing. Got those roller stands blasted. They're pretty stiff though. Like I said, they're pretty clunkily made. We shall see if I'll use them at all. Well, it's getting near the end of the month, so my wife and I, Melly and I, got to the storage unit and got a lot of stuff emptied out of there, got it loaded on the trailer. A large air compressor, heavy crates full of stuff, a safe that I store my chemicals in, and a couple of surface plates. So hope to get it off today so we can go get the rest of the stuff out of there so we can stop paying on that storage unit. We've had a total of 4 storage units during this move. Now we're down to the last one. So the shop has been built. Now I can start moving stuff in. I seem to have one holdup this morning though. The dog wants to go for a ride, so he's laying right in my way. Dragging the first item off. Come on, off. Good boy. There, that's a better spot for him. Out of the way, but he can still see what's going on. So what I have going on is I have to drag off this air compressor that also has a surface plate, a small surface plate underneath it. This is the heaviest, most resistant piece that I got on there. Most other things are on wheels. This is not. So I ran a chain and come along over to this post over here. That's attached with 2 anchors and I'm pulling sideways, so I shouldn't pull that off of there. I hope not to anyway. So let's get started. Well, the piece of scrap metal that I put under there that helped me get over the edge of the dovetail is now causing me problems, so I gotta get it out of there. And this is just 1/2 inch conduit. This compressor weighs, oh, I don't remember what the weight I figured up on it. If I find my self-made manifest / drill lady, I'll put up the weight, but it's quite a bit. One down, several more to go.
at our last house, which we were at for 32 years. This piece of metal was left behind. It was actually some kind of sign, and the paint was very worn off, and you couldn't really tell what the sign said. But I've been using it for 32 years for all kinds of things. Well, I wish I could have caught that on camera. The dog walked up on that piece of metal and it tipped and it scared him, so he kind of jumped off quick. So I don't have really a straight pull off the trailer because the tractor is in the way of hooking to that post on the building, so I'm kind of pulling at an angle here. So I have to keep shoving whatever I'm trying to pull off. I have to keep shoving it over so it goes down the ramp nice. That's probably a better angle. It's going the opposite way of what it was a minute ago. The casters aren't very good casters on the bottom of the safe, so they kind of go where they want to go sometimes. Plus they're on this trailer wood. They kind of dig in and go different ways. See what I mean? See what I mean? That's ready to go. Better put me a stop out there on the on the floor, so it doesn't run into the tractor. The reason I'm not moving the tractor because it's got one of the front wheel bearings and spindles tore apart, and it's up on a jack stand. That wheel or that section of the axle, so it's kind of dead in the water right now. I was hoping to use it to unload a bunch of these heavier items when I was going to get to this stage,
Gonna get some forks for it, but didn't work out. Had the wheel bearing problem, and then I took it apart, and there's a bunch of metal in there, so I gotta tear it all apart and investigate it and check the stack and see what needs to be replaced. That worked out. On to number 2, which is a crate behind the camera there. That either has a bunch of tools in it or a bunch of tractor parts and a few tools. I can't remember which crate is which. I didn't mark them. I got the crates for free and I just repurposed them for the move. I don't know why, but Magnum seems to always want to be laying right in the path. I think he's afraid we're going to leave without him. We left without him yesterday. Ran a bunch of errands and went and loaded up the trailer. So he doesn't want to be left out, I guess. This is the lighter of the 2 crates. The other one's much heavier. So laying those lifting straps is working out good for a stop, so whatever I roll off doesn't run away. It was really helpful with the safe because that was really heavy, and it's on steel wheels, so I had the floor swept real clean, so it has a tendency to just want to take off on you. So I laid them out again for that crate, and I'll lay them out again for this crate. That's all I mean by the stop straps. lay out some straps or dirt or whatever, so whatever you're rolling off doesn't keep going. Let's see how it goes with this one. Little different wheels on that crate. They're softer, so they didn't have a tendency to roll away on you. The next item was a granite surface plate, and I had 3 wheels underneath there, and one had broken off sometime when we were combining storage units. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It was a challenge to get on there with 2 people, my wife and I. And I'm working on this by myself to get it unloaded today. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll just pry it along with a pry bar. And that is how you unload a few ton by yourself. There was a lot of weight on there. So, since I got you guys this far, I thought I'd pop these crates open for you and for me so I can see what's in there and utilize some of it. I am actually looking for some tools that I need to finish a gutter on the house. So let's get to work. This is the tractor part crate. I have 2 older Ford tractor. One's a 1948 8N Ford tractor, and the other one was a 1958 841. So, tractor parts and tractor parts. There's the dashboard to the 841, I believe. Speed handle for the steering wheel. Some parts I have already taken down to bare metal and painted. Some I just have down to bare metal and haven't done anything with. Some I haven't even taken down to bare metal yet. But there's the oil bath cleaner for one of them. So yeah, let's open the other one. Okay. This is more tools, both shop tools and contractor tools and supplies, and this is what I was looking for, my rivet gun, so I can finish some guttering on the house like I stated. I've got a bench grinder in here. That's a 3-phase bench grinder. I believe it's a Miller's Falls. Set to top everything off with a lot of contractor tools and supplies, a lot of gun nails and screw gun screws. Decks, built a lot of decks. Bench place. The Morgan, I believe. Yep, the Morgan. I did not pay $175 for it. That's what I was trying to sell it for at a sale. Everybody wants vices for $20, including me. Here's a, what is this, Peerless or something with a P. This is Apprentice. This has got the swivel jaw, swivel base and swivel jaw. Here's an anvil. I haven't done anything with since I've gotten it. I got it recently before we had moved. Got another, this is a Peerless vise, little guy, one of my first vices. And there's a couple of buffers under here. The Balder buffer, and the vise. Mag drill. Miscellaneous weights and stuff. There's another device. I believe this is a Yoast. These are all 4-inch vices.
Here's the ball to the buffer. This is 3-phase. But you get the idea, a bunch of shop stuff. I lift out that big grinder, but it weighs a ton. So it's gonna stay in there for a while.